You do not see people as they are. You see your assumptions. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to our The Power of Awareness, Neville Goddard's book reading, where we look on his work with nervous system lens. As usual, we will check some parts of his work and then reinterpret it to our understanding, to our modern language. Okay. Today we will discover chapter 7, attitude. So this is a very long chapter. We will skip some parts, but the main idea, the core idea, will be communicated and translated. Not to worry. What I want to say about this very chapter, that it is not about the positive thinking, not whatsoever. It is rather about the way you internally relate to people, to circumstances, to certain situations, events, and then what kind of silent conversations you carry within yourself, and then how it is expressed in your life. Okay, so this chapter highlights this very mechanism, this very idea. All right, so let's begin. Experiments recently conducted by Merle Lawrence, Princeton, and Adelbert Ames in the Letters Psychology Laboratory at Hanover, do I pronounce it right? Prove that what you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption that you make when you look. Since what we believe to be the real physical world is actually an assumptive world, it is not surprising that these experiments prove that what appears to be solid reality is actually the result of expectations or assumptions. All right, so we know the fact that two people can look at the same thing, but they will see totally different um, um, expressions of that same thing. They will see different things because they're wired totally differently. Their perception is different from one another, okay? And because you're not reacting to reality, you are reacting to what your system already expects based on your already lived life. Simply put, what you've been taught, thinking what the world is actually, like what it actually is. So you do not see what's there, you see what you are prepared to see, okay? Your assumptions determine not only what you see, but also what you do, for they govern all your conscious and subconscious movements towards the fulfillment of themselves. So if you assume someone doesn't really respect you, or something doesn't work, or something like will not work, you do not just thinking, you're literally acting from it, because it already emanates your tone, your energy, and it dictates some micro reactions in advance, you guys. So your body already starts preparing for that outcome before anything even happens. That simple. Skip here. Okay, here. Because there is nothing unclean of itself or clean of itself, you should assume the best and think only of that which is lovely and of good report. Philippians 4 8. All right, so again, this is not about positivity. It means stop feeding internal narratives that keeps your system safe to think that, because what you're thinking, what you're expressing by your body, this is your natural tone. So if you feel that something keeps repeating in your life and it's not pleasant, guess what? Look internally. How are you positioned towards the person? How are you positioned towards the situation? Because maybe you've been feeding yourself with all those lies. Because sometimes what we remember about a person, it's not even a memory at all. It's something that it's just your narrative, simply put. And your attitude is not what you really say, it's what you repeatedly return to internally within yourself. So this is your real attitude, you guys. Okay, so it is not superior insight, but ignorance of this law of assumption. If you read it into the greatness of man, some littleness with which you may be familiar, or into some situation or circumstance, an unfavorable conviction, your particular relationship to another influences your assumption with respect to that other and makes you see in him that which you do see. This is very important. If you can change your opinion of another, then what you now believe of him cannot be absolutely true, but is only relatively true. So if you think they are always right, they are always rude, they they do not value me. So this is actually your programming towards that, towards those people. That's not objective truth, you guys. That's your assumption that's stabilizing itself through your own perception. That's so, I mean, the real core idea of this entire chapter, that your mental conversations shape your outer expressions that you witness from other people. Okay, so this is very important to acknowledge, because this actually removes any external blame, any. Regarding the next, what Neville Goddard is explaining here, because it's a very long story. He's pointing out on the fact that there is a lady and she works in a theater. So she's been having every single morning a very bad monologue in her head regarding the her employer, who always criticized her work. So she used to think bad things about him and express her opinions towards that person in her head every single morning before when she was heading to work. That's why her employer was never satisfied with her work. But as soon as she stopped rehearsing that, looping same thoughts, same scenes, same words towards that person, um, her employer's attitude towards her changed completely. So it proves that we are actually programming other people how to behave in our presence. Now, I also do not want mm, to convince you that this will work regarding every situation, regarding every single person, because sometimes there are certain people appear in your life that will need to teach you a certain lesson, to perhaps uncover deeper layers or deeper traumas that being stored in your bodies and minds as well. So sometimes, even if you assume the best things, it will not work, because let's be real, sometimes it won't, because sometimes a person appears in your life, and they treat you in the way you would never even expect, or you've never even seen. You never even you never saw that even coming from anyone. So it can be a case, but in most situations we do program people, and I'm talking about the people that we know, that we already have communicated with. All right, so let's be conscious of what we are rehearsing in our minds. So we have to pay attention to this, okay? And we should not confront people or fix people or try to control people, right? And we should strip the labels we give them, because most labels actually we give from projections from ourselves. I mean, we've all been there. Okay, if a person triggers you to the extent, it means that they are teaching you a lesson, something about yourself. Just be honest to yourself. What's there that wants to be released, removed from your system? Because if you are easily triggered by a certain person, it starts with you. Regarding the next, thus, we see it is not facts, but that which we create in our imagination, which shapes our lives. For most of the conflicts of the day are due to the want of a little imagination to cast the beam out of our own eye. It is the exact and literal minded who live in a fictitious world. Okay, let's finish this with this. Often, our most elaborate and original thoughts are determined by another. So, facts don't hit you differently. They pass through your interpretations, your expectations, your perhaps rehearsed internal dialogues, even. Okay? So your experience is shaped before the moment even happens in your life. If you notice, if you look backwards in your time, so you will see, yes, I have expected something from that specific person, and this thing happened, just because you already programmed yourself to notice that. And again, there are certain situations and of course people that are put in your way just to teach you a certain lesson. And it's not what this paragraph actually tells us. Chapter, I'm sorry. It's a totally different lesson. But in most cases, the people that we are already used to, the people we have already formed an opinion about, let's be real, they are actually expressing our expectations and assumptions of them. Okay, so this is very important. Attitude is not your mindset, is not affirmations, is not surface positivity. It is just how you internally relate, what you expect from another person, what your system constantly rehearses. If it loops something, you stop it, please. You will do yourself a favor. And for exercise, I actually want you to do this thing today. I want you to watch your tone, how you speak to another person in your own mind, um, when you have certain inner conversations. What you rehearse or repeat, if you rehearse or repeat anything at all. What you expect from people before they even act. So, this is the little observation you can practice today. And then try eliminating bit by bit. If you see some residue, some debris in regards to this subject, try to remove it, because you will do yourself a favor. You're not doing any other person a favor. You're doing actually the entire world a favor by cleansing it out from your system, the bad expectations. Because any bad expectations are always directed to you. Don't you notice? Why would you even create something bad for you? So let's change the way we talk to people in our heads, and let's stop meeting the versions of them that only existed in our expectations, in our bad expectations. So let's move from bad expectations, bad assumptions, to something pure.